Hey guys, I'd like to welcome you to the Kortex Media Podcast, where we navigate the fast-paced world of automotive and more. I'm your host, Korson Schmidt. Here at Kortex Media, we help automotive companies grow to hit their goals. Here today, I have Lizz Callaway, a seasoned automotive leading technology leader with over 12 years of industry experience. After a successful start in car sales, she transitioned to product management, bringing nearly a decade of expertise to some of the most exciting projects across startups and large companies. Lizz holds a degree in business economics from UC Santa Cruz and Texas A&M, has been recognized in 40 Under 40 and Women at the Wheel for her leadership impact. She currently leads product innovation at Origence, a company dedicated to empowering credit unions with next-generation lending technology and personalized service. It's great to have you on, Lizz.
Thanks for having me on.
No worries. So before we really dive into things, do you mind giving us kind of a quick overview on how you originally got started within the automotive industry and what inspired you to make that transition into a company like Origins?
Yeah, I was newly getting out of the army wife. My husband was transitioning out of being in the military, and we were figuring out how to be civilians again. And we had moved back to my hometown in Southern California, and I walked into a family-run dealership, and it was a local Ford store. And I said, I just want to get a job. I need something to, bring me back into the real world. I'll do paperwork, whatever it may be. And they suggested I start selling cars. And if that didn't work out, they would have a job for me somewhere else. And I fell in love with it. Found out that I could sell a lot of cars via internet sales, and that worked out really well. I had a partner who made it that I could have Sundays and Mondays off, and he always took Tuesdays and Wednesdays off. We split every deal down the
Amazing.
middle. Absolutely loved doing it, except I had a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old at the time, and it was a lot of late nights, a lot of missed holidays, and everything like that, and just wasn't exactly what I wanted at the time. But then when we moved up here to Seattle about almost 10 years ago, there was a startup that was looking to expand what they were doing with their dealer program. There was a huge amount of activity for automotive sales, specifically salespeople at dealerships trying to get more leads for themselves. And so I helped create their very first dealer program. I was their first
hmm
salesperson, but being in a startup, it's a great opportunity to be exposed to a lot of different things that you've never heard of before. People with experiences that can give you so much more just exposure to what there is out there. And so I got to learn a lot at that company and from a lot of amazing people that I still credit to this day with a lot of how I've learned and how I do learn. Um, and so switched to product management, something I had never heard of when I was selling cars. And Microsoft called a few years later, and I went to work with them to launch their ownership and shopping experiences in over 20 countries. And that
Wow.
expanded my knowledge further and my very, very itchy need to be part of everything and learn everything and be super curious all the time. But unfortunately, with everything else, it just didn't work out and they shut that program down. And just about a year ago, I joined Origence to help with Fi Connect, which is the new license lender that they stood up almost 2 years ago now.
Okay. Do you mind kind of giving us a little overview on your program that you guys
Yeah.
offer at Origins?
So Origins has gone through a lot of different iterations. Well, most of the people within automotive would know Cuddle as being one of its biggest products, which is the credit union direct lending, where we can actually connect credit unions to dealers. So there is indirect lending options available through all these credit unions. However, with everything being instant decisioning and shopping for cars at 2 in the morning and credit unions not necessarily always having the right resources or people or whatever it may be to give that 30-second decision at 2 in the morning, we created FI Connect in order to harness all of that credit union power. What makes everything great about credit unions, like community and that member being first. Credit unions are owned by members, and so it's just a very different perspective than what you get from a traditional bank. But there are things technology wise that credit unions might not just have, like I said, the resources set up themselves or really the want or what's going on with their own business. And so we became a licensed lender. The credit unions opt into the programs that we have, both automotive and home improvement and otherwise. and we say, this is the program we have. We will, give you your members first. We'll make sure that you have everything there. And it's really simple and straightforward for them. And then from the consumer's perspective, they get to be part of a credit union, get credit union rates and everything like that without having to wait or not have that option available at all. So we're starting that out right now. We've been live with Tesla for almost 2 years now, and we're expanding into different marketplaces and also, like I said, different channels like home improvement and anything else that we could figure out where lending would make sense for credit unions.
That's amazing. So you're kind of like the middleman. You find the
Yeah.
consumer and you find the business at the same time.
Yeah, there's a good bit of that is making sure that we're connecting that, whether it's the top of funnel or someone's looking to figure out what they can actually get pre-qualified for or just be more present within the shopping experience, more than credit unions had been with how many different credit unions and how many different areas of eligibility. Not everyone qualifies for every credit union. That's a lot of information for people to either remember or try to figure out or whatever it is. So we take care of all of that for them. But we still have to be the lender, which means we still have to do all the licensing, all of the make sure everything makes sense and, have those partnerships and everything in between. So it's a lot of work.
For sure. No, it totally sounds like it. But it sounds like it makes it a lot easier on the consumer and a lot easier for the credit union at
Absolutely.
the same time.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Just back to a little bit of your background. What does it mean to be recognized in 40 under 40 and women at the wheel? What does that mean to you personally and professionally?
I think there's a lot, and I will be the stereotypical woman and say, oh, I've always just been, my kids' moms, or it's whatever it is. Having something that's specifically about the work that I've accomplished, the achievements that I've been able to do is really important to me. And I think that it not only helps me to realize, okay, maybe I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing here, or this is the path that I'm supposed to be on, but it also encourages me when I need to, kind of pull myself out of that, wait a minute, no, of course you can do this. And because we all have those days, but it's a lot of needing that extra little bit of oomph, and my own cheerleader is not necessarily myself all the time. So having them on my bookshelf behind me really does help.
For sure. It just helps you motivate yourself to keep going and keep pushing
remind me that I'm
through.
still under 40.
Yeah, exactly. How do you navigate some of those challenges? So if there is someone going through a tough spell, they don't have a 40 under 40 achievement award, or they don't have women at the wheel. How would you recommend someone navigate that to really keep pushing forward, keep motivating themselves to become better, to learn?
I definitely had these own problems myself, and especially earlier when I was starting out in my career, is I have to keep reminding myself that I'm here for a reason. Someone saw something in me when they hired me, when they picked up the phone, when they wanted to work with me, whatever it was. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm showing that right now. I could be having a really bad day and that's not what I'm presenting, but at some point there was that bit of me that was worth their time, and I need to remember that. And so seeing myself from someone else's lens always does help. It's challenging for sure, though. And
Definitely.
Figuring out what's best for you and how you got there. A lot of the times, whether it's, your own achievements or even just your own traits and skills, it's hard to quantify them as actually valuable when you think it's just, oh, this is just what I do. And so sometimes writing down what's awesome about you does actually help.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. It's one of the biggest struggles that a lot of people have within business in general, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working for a company, to keep yourself motivated, to keep learning and keep driving towards your goal is one of the toughest things to do. So,
I mean, even, it doesn't even need to
advice.
be that I'm the CEO or anything like that. It's just, when I sold cars, it was what was great about me selling cars? Why did they come back and buy another car from me? Or why did they send their friends to me? And a lot of the times, one, I was one of the few females on the floor, which was, okay, great. They'll remember who I was, but they stayed with me. So what part of that made me remember that? And so even just bringing it down to that level is, am I genuine? Do I know what I'm talking about? Do I listen to them? Things that we might overlook as, day to day, it's a big deal to actually put value to them.
For sure. And that's one of the biggest things is to keep that positive environment around you as well within the organization. How do you foster innovation within your teams, keeping it customer-centered approach within a fast-paced, technology-driven development to keep
Yeah,
that clientele strong and that relationship strong at the same time.
I think especially from the product management perspective, there's a lot of, what are we going to do to be the best, the awesomest, the one that's really going to stand out. But at the end of the day, you need someone to buy your product. You need someone to use your product and continue to use your product. And so keeping the client, the customer, your core focus should be primary. How does what the customer is not necessarily just experiencing with what you have or what you've presented, but what are your competitors bringing to the table? What are industry trends that are affecting how they do business? Are they considering cutting back on things because of what's going on with the economy? Are they um, worried about, let's even bring it back to early COVID times. Is lack of chips going to affect how production lines are going to actually work out? What does that mean for downstream and everything like that? So really putting yourself in their shoes helps you to better build products and improve upon what you currently have. Because if you try to build something and it's amazing and it's just the best thing there ever was, but no one uses it, there's no point, and you wasted so much time and effort, and that's expensive. So making sure that that's the first thing. And even if it is, yes, I think have this idea, I think I know what I should be doing, just validating that. That's getting that, yep, that would be really great here. Mapping someone's process and figuring out where does this best fit in? Am I going to be smoothly incorporated into the day-to-day, or am I going to be something that we have to start all over and become a really big friction point? So putting them front and center and not making assumptions, it makes everyone's job a lot easier.
For sure. Yeah, it's staying ahead of the industry trends, making sure that you are that go-to, changing before the rest of the companies as well. So keep an eye on what they're doing so you can stay ahead of them as well, making sure that you're there for your customer, for your clients, keep that relationship good, keep it pushing forward. Because at the end of the day, your clients, those relationships, they help pay the bills to the business, and that keeps you in a job as well. So make sure you keep everyone happy.
Between this job, other previous, I think every role that I've had, because of the way that I approach the relationships and because I have a sales background, I think it does actually help that way as far as figuring out what that relationship means. I will turn business away and say, hey, we're not the right fit for you right now. We are not at a point where either your business isn't ready for us or we're not ready for you, or it's not the right feature. And while we might like each other and it sounds great, or we might be cheaper, it doesn't necessarily means that it's great. So let's figure it out later. And more of those relationships have referred me to other business. And that is something that I think gets overlooked a lot. You dismiss prospects, you dismiss potential clients just because it might not be the right time or it might not be the right fit. It doesn't mean that you can't understand what they're doing with their business and how yours doesn't fit right now. What does that mean for you? Is it because they're not your right client right now, or are they never going to be your right client? And figuring that out builds a lot more trust, which then can garner a lot more business for you too.
Yeah, I love that's a great point. That's one of the things that I see a lot, especially within the automotive and helping companies grow. Is you'll get a lot of these companies coming in and they just want to sign deals, but at the end of the day, they're not looking for that prospect. They're not looking out for that company itself to think if they can actually get the results they're offering.
Acquisition is huge, and it's a really big part of it, but I feel like retention is just such a bigger data point to look at. The more that you can grow together, it's a longer term, more profitable relationship for everybody.
For sure. I totally agree with you there. And it goes back to making relationships. Like maybe you can't work with them now, but you can give them tips. It's like, hey, if you try this, roll this out for a little bit, come back, we'll speak in 6 months and see if there's something that we can work out to make it better on your end, and just building that relationship, giving them a little bit of value at the end of the day. So Origence really emphasizes partnerships and integrations. That's kind of one of your guys' main mottos from what I've found. How important is it to have that collaboration within the product development process as well, with you guys coming out with new technologies all the time, to keep that open to your clients and moving forward?
For them understanding, at least from, say, a credit union or a dealer group or whomever we are actually looking to for lack of a better term, sell our product to, them understanding who our partners are means that we um, need to be very transparent in who we work with and how thorough we've done our job to vet them. Um, Partnerships a lot of the times does get confused with sales, and so they were just hanging out. It's that, no, how does this best work here? Because if I'm putting my neck on the line for this client, and part of that is whom I'm working with, I need to be able to have real confidence that it's almost as if it's my own company. What is this product that I'm bringing in? Why was it more valuable for me to have this third party do it than for, say, us to build it ourselves, or for us to not have it, or to go with a different one, or whatever it may be? It needs to be so much more integrated and really ingrained into what we're doing that, yeah, like I said, it has to be 100% confidence in our part that I've done everything I could to make sure it's the right company to work with in order to deliver the product. So whether it's a pre-qualification tool or document processing or whatever else we need to do, fraud is a big one as well.
For sure.
It's a lot of upfront work in order to make sure that that foundation is set properly.
Love that. That's amazing. How do you see technology changing the way credit unions serve their members in the coming years? Do you see it making a big impact? I know 2025 is like the AI year is what it's been called, and we've seen a
Yeah.
lot of great companies come about, great platforms come about. But what do you see it doing in the next few years that's really going to impact you guys?
I think that if more credit unions, we offer a lot of different software services as well, not just lending and everything like that to credit unions. But the biggest part of it is, who are you working with? Who are you trusting? And because their whole business models are built on trust and community and taking care of their members, it's so vital for them to really be thorough in who they're working with. And so having that first layer of Origence doing that for them, what using our opinions and how we've done that research and figuring out who we're working with, it can help a lot. As far as, whether it's fraud prevention or getting things done faster, but might not necessarily align with what they want to do business wise. And so taking that time to use a trusted, whether it's consultant from someone like Origence, or figuring out, oh, what questions should I be asking? How does this best work in here? Because like everything else, AI is flashy and exciting, and it does do a lot of amazing things. But that doesn't mean it fits every business. And so asking important questions that they might not even realize they should be asking, that's why it's important to use, someone like us to help them do that.
For sure. Totally. And linking that with the automotive industry, how do you see that pushing the automotive industry forward in the next few years as well?
Yeah, so a lot of what I spoke about at conferences and other podcasts and webinars and everything when I was at Microsoft, because I lived under the Microsoft AI umbrella and I got to learn amazing things there, was really getting down to the nitty gritty. And I think that's one of the things that we see within automotive is understanding how much data flows through automotive anything.
For
Whether it's
sure.
customer data, inventory data, parts, whatever it may be, there is so much data out there. And asking that first why. Why is this something that I feel like would help? Is there a problem that I'm trying to solve? Do I have a staffing issue where I need something to help two people do the job of five people? But figuring out what that why is, and then moving forward with, okay, do I have clean data to present, or do I have six records for Lizz Callaway spelled with either one Z or two A's or six O's or whatever it may be? It's a lot of effort and work to actually implement these different AI powered features. And so getting to the root question first of how is this going to help my business and figure out what those goals are that I'm trying to accomplish. I think, like you're kind of mentioning earlier, it is big and flashy, and so it can be kind of distracting if it's actually going to be really helpful. But I do think that there are some very good tools out there that have definitely helped automotive, whether it is, the 2 a.m. shopper or someone who just wants to have more details about what's going on. And then from the dealer's perspective, how do they become better at acquiring customers, retaining customers, putting their branding forward, whatever it may be. What are the areas that they want to help? Understanding did that Facebook campaign work really well for me or not? Um, and it does democratize more of these different areas within, say, a dealership's operations or even an OEM's, of letting more people have access to more of the business, and allowing for, more people to have, I don't know, not necessarily control, but the ability to help in different areas as well. Being cross-functional is essential. So I think we can get more of that into the hands of automotive companies. It'd be really interesting to see how that goes.
For sure. No, I totally agree with you. And back to the flashy AI, a lot of
Yeah.
companies are seeing these new systems come out and they're like, oh, they're great. They're the new thing. Let's do it. But then they have so many different systems that they're really spending more money than actually organizing within their company because it's the new big thing, instead of really
Yeah.
sitting down, like you said, going through your goals and see where you actually need the help, where you want to be, and really putting some thought into it. And back to the comment you made, you might have six different
That's
Lizz
what I'm saying.
Callaway titles, and it's one of the biggest things that I've heard that dealerships struggle with.
Yeah.
And especially in a franchise in a smaller area,
Mm-hmm.
they can bounce around to the other dealerships. Yeah, they're still under the same umbrella, but they're always spelled different. You never track that data properly, and it's one of the biggest
Exactly.
challenges you see. And they bring on a new software to try to help that, but it doesn't actually help. It just makes it even more
It
confusing
makes
at
it
the end of the
messier.
day.
You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. And I think that's, just whether it's an AI powered thing or something else, usually if it's going to take a lot of work, you're going to have to really want it, because the good things are going to be a lot of effort.
for sure. Totally. From your experience spanning startups and then some of those bigger behemoth companies that you have worked with, what lessons stand out about innovation in financial services
Yeah.
as a whole?
With finance, it's very, very different, but it's the same at the same time. There is a lot more of learning to fail fast. Is it going to actually, um, figure out if this is something that we want to keep trying and keep pushing on and everything like that, just to waste more time and more resources and more energy on something that might not be the right fit for us right now, or it might not be the right path for us right now? Do we want to go down the path of, all the different types of finance and how we can finance and secured and unsecured and all these other, amazing things, but they all come with their own bag of tricks. So figuring out, being okay with, this isn't going to work right now, let's pivot quickly, I think is very, very essential. From my startup days, I think it was really helpful to be like, okay, maybe we come back and visit this again, but this is why we do 2 week sprints and not, 6 month, nope, can't change anything for a very long time. Being able to be light on your feet and actually adapt to things is important. However, in something like finance, it does get very, very hard to invest millions of dollars and hours of everyone's resources if it's not the right fit. I know that there's a huge challenge, and it is a huge uphill battle to convince, especially the powers that be, that we made the wrong decision. So figuring out quickly how to better plan for that gets ahead of it in the beginning, but admitting that it wasn't the right time or whatever it may be is such a big, brave thing to do, I think, that not a lot of
For
people
sure.
have been able to do. Saying you're wrong in any scenario doesn't
Yeah,
doesn't come naturally to most of us. So I think that's something that I do really value for my startup time, even when I was at Microsoft, because we were figuring out how we could build this first with our autos marketplace, and figure out, we pulled in every single listing on the internet for every country that we were in, basically, to figure this out. But it was, let's figure out this works, and then we'll put more resources to it, and then we'll have the sales team sell it, and then we'll do this. That we had to go very, very fast, and let's try this out here, and let's test it with this group there. But you have to be able to do 10 things at once while maintaining all those plates up in the air. And so if that one drops, you have to figure out why it did, and move on quickly, and
for
not
sure. It
fester on it.
For sure, and it's marketing 101 and business 101 is you have to test fast, and when you
Mm-hmm.
get something that does work, really push that out, and
Yep.
don't slow down. And you have to keep testing at the same time. When you do find something that works, it's never going to work always. You need to
Yeah.
keep testing, you need to keep iterating, you need to keep trying new things until
I
you
think the
figure
other
out
bit
something.
is also figuring out that you don't need to do all 50 things that you want to have on your wish list at once. Get
Yes,
your MVP
exactly.
done with 3 to 4 awesome proof of concept. Get that feedback quickly. Like even when I roll out, whether it's at this company or at Microsoft or a previous startup, it's been start with your trusted customers, the ones that'll be your
Hmm.
guinea pigs that you can get your data points from. You don't need to start with all 10,000 dealers. You can start with 100 and
Yeah,
watch them and see what they do and figure that out. You don't need to get burned across the board. You can just get a little singed and then fix it, try again. And that's something that I think more companies should do a lot more of. It's it is detrimental. You've probably seen it with if a company tries to roll something out and it's just not what the audience wants right now, or if it doesn't work, your reputation is everything in this industry.
for sure. Working with automotive companies and working with companies in general, that's one of the biggest things you see is they try to push something out that is on paper it looks great, but as soon
Yeah,
as you test it, the results aren't there, and they keep pushing
yeah,
forward instead of making a little pivot that could make a huge difference. And it's all about
exactly.
making those pivots until you find the thing that does work. So that's a great
Yeah.
point. I love that you brought that up. What are some of the main goals that you have for F and I, F and I or FI?
FI, and honestly, we think we've
FI
had this
Connect.
conversation about 6 times internally and with our partners that we're working with right now because it's an F&I office in the dealership. It makes sense. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But we are FI Connect. The biggest goals that is especially for this year is figuring out where we fit within our own company and how that it's a 30-year company that has been around and helping dealers connect with credit unions, and some of these credit unions have amazing relationships with these dealers. And so does it even make sense where we come in and kind of are we taking it away from the dealer? No, fighting it that way. It's where do we work best, not only internally with our own teams, but also how people shop for cars or shop for, a pool loan or they need a new roof or solar panels or whatever it may be, and how we kind of best fit in there without changing too much about what makes credit unions special. So there's a lot of different puzzle pieces, which is probably why I love what I do because I'm a huge puzzle nerd. In that, how do you best balance all those different levers and how they all affect your business and what we can do? So we're starting out with a lot of really interesting projects this year that will be a very good place for us to start is figuring out how does that fit? Did it work? Did we follow all the things did I cover everything that I needed to do? Do we get this legal thing done and that compliance thing done and everything else in between? While also remembering that we're dealing with people.
For sure.
So it'll be interesting to see how this works. We had a very successful launch with beginning and with Tesla. They did $1.5 billion in loans in the first full year of them
Wow.
lending. So obviously something works. Um, last year, but for the more of how everybody else buys a car, for example, what we are putting out there. Is that really going to be the right answer for how people shop and how dealers interact with customers and credit unions and everything like that?
For sure. For sure. That's great. And I love how you're going about it, that you guys are still looking out for your client because, like we said earlier, the biggest thing, they pay your bills. You need to keep them happy and
Yeah,
really to roll out a good product at the end of the day.
reputation's
Um,
everything. Your own, your companies, your products, all of it.
exactly. And you kind of spoke on some of the challenges there, but you mind getting a little bit more in depth on what are some of the challenges that you guys are having um, with FI Connect, getting in contact with those dealerships, those credit unions, etc. What is some of the biggest
Yeah.
challenges that you
I mean,
guys go through?
honestly, there's so many different ones. One is brand new, always introducing something new to any established industry, whether it's automotive or the credit unions or whatever it may be, is going to be a huge hurdle. And always trying to get from that 0 to 1 is so much more work than 1 to 2. Always will be. But once the trying to explain, what the difference is between what we do versus what Cuddle does and how that benefits, and then we're not really fighting against each other and everything there, we do run into a lot more of, well, if I already have this, then why do I need that? Or,
Hmm.
uh, what what do we need to do in order to be properly set up in order to bring something valuable to the market from day one? What does that MVP actually look like for us to prove that we are a serious player in this and not just fly by night figuring it out? And so how do we best balance, the monetary investment, the people investment, and the time, while also trying to just get that good feedback and get our feet wet from the beginning?
For sure. Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things is you need to make sure that you guys have a product market fit before really rolling out. And that was one of the biggest things we talked about. What are one of the biggest things that is working great for you guys at FI Connect at the moment, as a company?
I think having the Origence team behind us has been really, really helpful. It is so nice to have their reputation within not only the dealer side, but also the credit union side. I was at our own conference in Nashville earlier in June, Lending Tech Live, where just listening to the different speakers and conversations that we were having, and I sat on a panel with some of the larger dealers in the country and getting their feedback on even just their processes and what they're doing there. A lot of it is we can see how Origence, whether it's Cuddle or all of the different software programs that we do offer, have really helped their processes and how they do business, that we have become pretty integral. Cuddle is a verb now. They cuddled a deal and everything like that. So it is really nice to have that brand. It's similar to when I was at Microsoft. Microsoft opened a lot of doors just by saying the name. Cuddle does a lot of the same thing within dealerships. So that is a huge benefit for us. And I think that has helped tremendously as far as us being able to talk to dealers, talk to credit unions, get that feedback, even just, can we watch what your process is for this so we can understand where we best fit? It's been really, really helpful.
Yeah, like back to, like we said earlier, making sure that you fit within that company, within that client relationship that you're working with. Looking back on your journey throughout automotive sales, leadership, etc., what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned throughout your career?
A lot. Don't be afraid to be so nosy. Ask questions of people who could actually give you a different perspective on whether it's your project or your career or whatever it may be. When I was at a startup, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of the C-suite had in their previous lives some amazing roles, whether it was very early at Amazon or very early at Zillow or founded Atom Tickets or whatever it may be. Hearing how they learned their lessons and asking that, I would not have had those conversations if I didn't have the guts to just be like, hey, can I pick your brain about this? Can I watch how you run this meeting? Can I shadow you and just see what your day looks like? So I think there's too much of this. We put these leaders on pedestals and everything like that, but they're just people and they had to learn at some point too. So if I did not have the guts to go ask that one guy to show me what an actual product requirement doc would look like from his perspective, I don't know if I would have even explored product management.
For sure. That is a great point because it helps you, especially coming up, learning, willing to learn, wanting to learn, keeping yourself motivated, asking these questions from these really experienced individuals. Yeah. And they feel great at the same time as well. I know if there was someone younger and inexperienced that were to come ask me any question, I would feel honored to help them navigate that space, or even similar to yourself.
And the worst they can say is no, or they don't have time for you right now, or whatever it may be, and then you go to the next one.
Exactly. I love that. If there was someone wanting to get started within either dealership sales or even a lead management side of things or something like that, what advice would you give to someone wanting to get started in those two separate industries?
Oh man, I would have them watch. If they wanted to get into a dealer scenario, I'd have them go and talk to the manager and say, hey, I'd love to shadow your team for the day. Let me figure out what this looks like. I think a lot of the times we either see it on TV or we expect what it is in our heads. There's not really, a day in my life as a salesperson kind of thing. Or, ask more questions of the people while you're there. Buy them donuts, bring them in, be real nice about it. But I even do that when I'm launching a new product, is I just go and sit and watch and figure out where it is. Because there are so many different aspects that I think we either overlook, don't realize they're there. I mean, I still probably couldn't name every single role that's at a dealership right now. And so I think there are more areas that people might not be aware of. And so, um, trying to give yourself a bit more exposure and taking that first step into there is a bit more that I could do. Maybe this is better aligned with the skills that I know I have, or whatever it may be. I would go and ask more questions. I would go and ask, what else could I do here?
For sure. Back to the learning factor. You can't stop learning.
Mhm.
Just continue
Big deal.
learning. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For listeners that are eager to learn more about yourself or connect with you, where can they find you to keep up to date, or Origins as well?
LinkedIn is the best for both. I'm usually pretty active on there. I'm trying to be as available as possible. There are so many hours in the day, but a message always helps. But interact, I'd love to help if any way I can.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Liz. I really appreciate you taking the
Thanks
time.
for having me.
You've tons of insights within automotive, within credit union, within Fi Connect as well. It has been great, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate the conversation.